I needed a new computer, but buying a modern computer just didn't feel right. So I built this. A modular Cyberdeck with a sliding screen, battery power, trackball, and a rail system so I can mount it wherever I want. I use it for 3D modeling, accessing blueprints, browsing the internet, and it goes where I go. It's not finished yet, but this janky little machine already starts to feel like a part of my toolkit. I built it because my computer is my most important tool. But looking for a new laptop, I kept getting this feeling that you don't fully own a modern computer anymore. Sure, you can pay for it, take it home and use it every day, but it still doesn't really feel like it's yours, because you're not really meant to open it, upgrade it, or even repair it. In the workshop, my relationship with my tools is completely different. One of the first things I had to do in my apprenticeship was learn how to build my own tools, and that experience stuck with me. There's just something almost primal and very satisfying about taking raw material and shaping it into a tool you then use. It becomes mine in a way that makes me trust it differently, even though you could probably buy a better one at the store. So I started wondering, what if my new computer could feel like that too? Not by making the chips from raw silicon, obviously, but by combining existing electronics and shaping everything around it into a computer I could repair, upgrade, modify, and actually call mine. That idea already has a name: Cyberdeck. It stems from old cyberpunk fiction, but today it means a custom portable computer built around the way you actually want to use it. Mine started simple: a Raspberry Pi, Linux, small screen, keyboard, and trackball. I'd never really used Linux before, so this was mostly a test. Could I actually get work done on a Linux computer? I installed FreeCAD, opened some blueprints, did some browsing, and it worked. Not perfectly, but enough that I started thinking, okay, this might be possible. But it wasn't something I could carry with me yet, so I had to build it a body. Although I spend hours each day doing 3D modeling, I love prototyping with cardboard. Laying things out, drawing, cutting, adjusting, gluing, figuring out what makes sense for me. But most important of all, cardboard does not let you lie to yourself. If you start 3D modeling right away, it is very possible to draw up something that cannot work in reality. But with cardboard, as you shape it and hold it, you very quickly find out what does and does not make sense. At first, the device had a flip-up screen, but I realized I had just built another laptop. So I tore it apart and tried a sliding screen instead. And that was the one change that kind of set the direction for the whole project. From there, I did the rest of the design in CAD. Having the physical mockup made the 3D model feel grounded in reality, just like I was refining something physical. I started building out the sliding mechanism, but the more finished the concept became, the more it started to feel wrong. It looked good, but it did not leave much room to change with my needs. So I grabbed a saw and chopped it up, turning it into a core system with modules I could swap in and out. I used Arca Swiss plates and clamps to test how swapping on and off modules from the Cyberdeck could work. And I loved it. This was no longer one object, it had become a system. I implemented the change into the 3D model, splitting the model into separate modules, just like the cardboard mockup. A trackball will give me a compact way to move my cursor, the handle have an integrated scroll wheel, the external connection module will allow me to connect other devices to the Cyberdeck with these twist connectors, and the power module accept commonly available NPF batteries. At that point, the cardboard had done its job, so I retired it, leaving the 3D printer to take over prototyping. producing parts with far more detail than the cardboard ever could. This project went through a lot of iterations. First, very rough dummies of the modular attachment, and then the chassis itself, letting me test fit hardware. The first printed prototype was beyond crude. I printed it with the coarsest setting and assembled it with whatever hardware I had scavenged away. But it did what it needed to do. It let me verify the measurements and test fit off-the-shelf components. On the cardboard model, the mounting interface was based around Arca Swiss dimensions, but those parts are large and expensive, so I scaled everything down to the smaller NATO rail standard instead. The rails themselves were printed in plastic, strong enough for this application. With rails in place, the modules could be slotted in, and I could haul the first prototype. It's a deeply satisfying feeling to hold something that previously only existed inside the computer. But that feeling did not last long. You see, on the next prototype, I had moved on to the sliding screen, and that's when things got difficult. I started with 3D printed glide bearings. In CAD, they made perfect sense. But in reality, they never really worked. One prototype was too loose. So I tried beefing up the rails in two ways, adding more lateral support and more screws. But that prototype ended up too tight, with the mechanism binding and flexing while trying to slide it. And just as I was getting frustrated, I found another problem. I had spent so much time thinking about the sliding rails that I had completely forgotten about the wires that had to move with them. Every time the screen slid back and forth, the cables were getting pinched inside the mechanism, and now the whole project seemed like a failure. So I had to go back to the drawing board, redesigning the whole sliding mechanism, carving out space for these proper linear bearings. And for the cable issue, I downloaded this cable chain, just like the ones you see on CNC machines, just smaller. I modified it to fit within the chassis. And talking about the chassis had now been split into 6 main parts that, when assembled, locks the large linear bearings in place. And the side rails for the modules now have locating slots for perfect alignment of the expansion modules. The linear rods for the bearings were really heavy, so I first tried cheating by saving weight with these lighter fiberglass rods. But they weren't precise enough and just tended to bind up. So I had to switch back to steel. Heavy, but reliable. I had also included a screen lock built into the chassis to hold the screen in open position. Okay, time to fit the cable chain. And look at that. This time the liner movement is smooth, and the cable chain will protect the cables. At this moment in the design process, I was still playing around with what features I wanted in the final product. I added some configurable buttons and a deployable antenna around the screen for some extra cyberpunk flair. Later, I want these buttons to act like shortcuts for tools in FreeCAD. When the screen assembly finally moved smoothly and the cable chain followed along without any snagging of wires, that was the first time I really felt this might actually turn into something usable. And I got the motivation to do the final push, using everything I've learned from the failed experiments to finally lock in the design. One of the last major design changes was adding 2 additional rails at the bottom of the chassis, acting both as a mounting system and for transferring data and power between the central unit and the modules. Now I could print the parts in a more durable and permanent material. This was the version I've been working toward all the time. These final parts had the industrial cyberpunk vibe I wanted, and it was time to bring it all to my local makerspace for the final assembly. The parts are printed in polycarbonate with chopped carbon fiber strands. This plastic material withstands heat, so I can leave the Cyberdeck in a hot car without it distorting from the heat, and the carbon fiber makes the parts stiffer and more dimensionally accurate, but at the cost of added brittleness. This time I really had to consider the order of assembling the parts, because there will be wires going between the electronics. I started wiring up the essentials first, focusing on power delivery so I could boot up the Cyberdeck. On each prototype I had gotten the tolerances around the keyboard tighter. Now it just snaps perfectly into the Cyberdeck. Screws then secure it to the chassis. This thing will convert battery power to the 5 volts the Raspberry Pi needs. 2 wires for power and 2 for the power button. Now I can install the actual brains of this project, the Raspberry Pi 5. I had to remove some of the heatsink to fit the power module, which is not optimal, but it should be fine. I tried to keep the soldering to a minimum using standard USB cables. Soldering directly to the board could save a lot of space, but I would rather have it this way for a quick replacement of the Raspberry Pi. The soldering didn't go well and ended up a little janky, and I had to isolate it with some tape. But after connecting a power supply, I could hotwire the Raspberry Pi start button, and the computer lit up, confirming the wiring was correct. Now I could move on with plugging in the cables going to the screen. The cable chain transfers signal through a flat ribbon cable and power with a 2-pin cable. At the end of the ribbon cable is a normal HDMI plug. The carbon fiber material was especially important for the large parts in the screen assembly. Here, the trade-off in brittleness is worth it for the added stiffness. The buttons around the screen were installed but not hooked up to anything yet, as I have not decided where I will wire them. The screen, however, is simply plugged into the HDMI and power. After mounting the screen to the frame, I could boot up the system again. For the first time, the screen lit up, and I could test the sliding mechanism and the keyboard. The weight of the mechanical keyboard balances out the weight of the screen, so the Cyberdeck is heavy but surprisingly comfortable to hold. The core system was alive, but still connected to external power. To make the Cyberdeck complete, I started working on the expansion modules that currently were just hollow dummies. I spent the next month turning them into real input devices to be able to use my Cyberdeck, and that meant more prototypes. And just like with the chassis, each prototype fixed one problem and revealed the next. I started to realize I couldn't finish everything at once. So after locking in the aesthetics of each module, I shifted my focus to just making the battery module and the trackball module functional. The handle and external connection module could wait. First, the battery module. It is very simple, only transferring power from a NPF camera battery and power on signal into the deck. I got that working and added some simple indicators for voltage and battery orientation. With the power module functional, I could finally run the Cyberdeck off a battery. That felt like a big step forward, but I still couldn't control the cursor, so the next step was getting the trackball working. And the trackball. That took a lot of work. I went through a lot of iterations, different ergonomics, ball sizes, button layouts, just trying to get something that felt right. In the end, I used the internal parts from a Logitech Trackman marble, because designing a PCB from scratch was a bit out of scope for now. I soldered extension wires into the original board and connected them to industrial buttons to get some proper tactile input. The soldering wasn't great, and the wiring got pretty cramped, but I got it all put together in the end. Since the handle and trackball module also serve as mounting points for a shoulder strap, I didn't entirely trust the printed plastic to carry all the weight, so I decided to machine those parts from aluminium instead. If you want to build this yourself, but don't have access to a lathe, you can download the CAD files from GitHub and have them manufactured through this video's sponsor, PCBWay. I tested their machining service, and compared to the parts I made myself, the quality was spot on. Shipping was fast, packaging was solid, and it's a great option if you want metal parts and you can't machine them yourself. I like how the contrast between the rough printed parts and the smooth machined metal came out, and I can recommend using PCBWay. Ordering parts from PCBWay are almost like slicing a 3D print. You just upload the file, select quality, and hit go. Let's get back to the build. To be able to connect all the modules to the central unit, I had to solder up these custom wires. They have connectors that will mechanically lock them in place, while still being easy to swap in and out. Soldering these connectors were not easy, but eventually I could put together a full Cyberdeck. At this stage, only the power module and trackball is functional. The handle and connector module is still not working, but that does not matter yet. Now I was just excited to give this system a proper test. Battery in, boot sequence start. And for the first time, I could actually use it. But can it perform as a usable tool, or is it just a fun toy? That remains to see. It was getting late, so I had to wrap up, and on my way home, I got to test the shoulder strap. The next day, I brought the Cyberdeck with me to work to see if it would actually hold up in daily use. I mounted it to the machines using the rail system. And I pulled up the blueprints and schematics I needed. On my break, I used the Cyberdeck to browse the news. After my break, I had some milling to do, so I clamped the deck to the milling machine and got to work. And at some point, I stopped thinking about it as a project. It had become just a tool, just like the other tools around the shop. Just there, doing its job. It's not finished yet. There are still things I want to improve, like the handle scroll, it's not wired up. The external connections and the buttons don't connect to anything yet, and I'm getting a low voltage warning occasionally. But despite all that, this Cyberdeck already does everything I wanted it to do. It feels like a tool built for me. Not something I'm just allowed to rent, but something that's actually mine. If you want to build your own version, the files are on GitHub. Feel free to download and modify them to your own needs. And if you do build something from it, I would love to see it. But me, I will keep working on this in the next video. Watch out for the release of the next version of this Cyberdeck. And thank you for watching.